Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are going to poke the bear. I mean, we are really going to poke the bear on this one.
Oh, we are definitely poking the bear.
Yeah, we're taking on what is arguably the most sacred cow of the American dream.
The end game.
Exactly, the end game. You work for 40 years, you max out the 401k, you finally get that gold watch, or maybe just a polite email from HR these days.
Right.
And then what do? You pack the car and you move to Florida. It's the default setting.
It is.
It's warm, there are beaches, and most importantly, the state government doesn't touch your pension check.
It's the classic playbook. And honestly, for a huge chunk of the population, it makes perfect sense. But that is exactly why today is going to be a bit controversial. Because we aren't looking at the general population today.
No, we are looking at a very specific slice of the demographic pie. Our mission today is to completely deconstruct this idea that Florida is always the cheaper, better option.
Right. We're focusing on the high-budget retiree.
And just to define terms here right out of the gate, we're talking about someone with a monthly disposable budget of roughly $5,000 or more.
Yeah.
That's the magic number where the math supposedly flips. And this all comes from a really fascinating piece we're analyzing today called Beyond the Sunshine, Reevaluating Florida for High-Budget Retirees.
And it completely upends the conventional wisdom. It's where the logic of the end game starts to break down.
Which sounds completely backwards to me at first glance. I mean, usually having more money solves problems.
Usually.
Having a higher budget should mean Florida is more accessible, right?
Yeah.
You can buy the nicer condo. You can afford the better golf course.
You'd think so.
But the research we're diving into suggests that if you have that kind of financial freedom, moving to Florida might actually be an objective mistake.
Well, mistake is a strong word, but statistically it's a valid one. The argument the author makes isn't that Florida is bad.
Right.
The argument is about value. Yes. If you are scraping by on a fixed income, Florida's tax structure is a lifeline. It's necessary. But if you have $5,000 a month to spend, you have entered a different marketplace entirely.
You have options.
Exactly. You have options. And when you compare what Florida offers against what you actually pay, not in taxes, but in risk, insurance, and lifestyle limitations, it starts to look like a bad trade.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I'm sitting here imagining a listener who has that budget. Maybe they've been planning this move for a decade.
Sure.
And they're thinking, you're crazy. No income tax is free money.
It looks like free money on the surface.
Okay.
But the source text is very clear that we need to look at the total cost of ownership of a Florida retirement.
Total cost of ownership.
Right. And the first place that cost shows up isn't on your tax return. It's on the Weather Channel.
The weather. Okay, obviously hurricanes happen. Everyone knows that. If you move to Florida, you accept that you might get rained on.
Rained on is putting it lightly.
True. But is that really a financial reason to stay away? I mean, blizzards cost money too.
They do. But blizzards rarely result in a total loss of the asset.
Fair point.
We need to talk about what the article calls the relaxation paradox.
The relaxation paradox. That sounds like a marketing term for a spa.
I wish it was.
Yeah.
Think about the psychology of retirement. Why are you quitting your job?
To decompress?
Exactly, to lower your cortisol levels. You want stability. But the reality of living on the Florida coast, and let's be honest, if you have a $5,000 budget, you aren't moving inland to Ocala.
Right, you're moving to the coast.
You're entering a state of perpetual readiness.
Readiness implies active work.
It is active work. It's not just the week the hurricane hits. It's the 6 months of the year where you are constantly monitoring the Atlantic.
Wow, yeah.
It's the logistics. Let's say you're 75. Do you want to be climbing ladders to put up shutters?
No.
Do you want to be navigating an evacuation gridlock on I-95 with 3 million other people?
That does sound exhausting. But isn't that what property managers are for? If I have the budget, I just pay someone to deal with the shutters.
You can pay someone to handle the physical labor, sure, but you can't pay someone to handle the anxiety.
That's true.
And more importantly, you can't pay someone to fix the insurance market. This is where the rubber meets the road financially in the article.
Because premiums are substantially higher.
Substantially higher. We aren't just talking about premiums being a little high. We are talking about a totally broken marketplace.
I've seen the headlines about premiums soaring in Florida. The source mentions a climate change multiplier.
Yes. Look at it through the eyes of an actuary.
Okay.
Insurance companies are modeling risk 20 or 30 years out. They are pricing in a future where sea levels are higher and storm surges are more destructive.
Right.
If you are retiring at 65, You are planning to live there until you're 85 or 90. You are locking yourself into a cost curve that is only going up.
That's the scary part. Your pension is fixed. Your savings are basically fixed. But your cost to exist in that house is variable.
And the arrow is pointing straight up. Plus, the article highlights that climate change is exacerbating these risks, leading to even more property damage concerns down the line.
So for a high-budget retiree, the stress and those skyrocketing insurance costs might just cancel out the joy of the warm weather.
Completely. And remember, insurance is a sunk cost. You don't get equity for paying premiums. It's just money out the door.
Yeah, put it that way, and it sounds less like a dream and more like a financial trap.
Exactly.
But let's play devil's advocate for a second. Let's look at the real estate volatility trap the article mentions.
Let's do it.
Even if the insurance is a wash, I'm still buying real estate. And if there is one thing I know about Florida, it's that everyone wants to move there. The property values have to be solid, right? Real estate usually feels like a safe bet.
Historically, sure. Prices have risen dramatically recently. But volatility is the enemy of the retiree.
Because of the timeline?
Right. When you're 30, you can ride out a crash. When you're 70, you can't. And the source explicitly warns that Florida is prone to specific boom and bust market cycles.
Boom and bust.
It's highly speculative. It's a market driven by second home buyers and investors, not just primary residents.
So when the economy tightens, Florida is often the first place people dump assets.
Precisely. And right now, the text points out the threat of rising interest rates. As rates rise, there is a very real threat of a declining market.
Which connects right back to the listener's nest egg. Buying a home there isn't just about a place to sleep. It poses serious risks to long-term wealth preservation.
That's the danger. If you buy at the peak of a boom in a volatile market, you are exposing your nest egg to massive sequence of returns risk.
Yeah, if you have to sell that house to fund a medical emergency during a bust cycle, you have permanently destroyed a chunk of your wealth.
Exactly. Boring is beautiful when you're retired. You want a market that moves slowly and steadily. Florida's a roller coaster.
And roller coasters are fun for 5 minutes.
They aren't fun for 20 years.
Speaking of fun, let's pivot to the lifestyle side of things. Because I know the listeners are shouting at their speakers right now.
I want the beach.
Exactly. They don't care about actuarial tables. They want the tiki bar.
And I get that. The beach is fantastic.
But I sense a but coming.
But how many days a year do you actually go to the beach? The source describes Florida as a potential one-trick pony.
One-trick pony, that's a great phrase, meaning it's just sun and beaches.
Right. And beaches get old after a while. Think about the cultural deficit mentioned in the text.
The cultural deficit.
Our listener profile today is the learner. These are people who have spent their lives solving problems, reading, engaging with complex ideas.
Right, they want intellectual stimulation.
But Florida may lack world-class museums, theaters, and educational institutions compared to other hubs. It's a key trade-off.
So it's monocultural.
Yeah.
Designed for leisure, not for stimulation.
Exactly. If you have a $5,000 budget, think about what that money could buy you elsewhere. The source actually introduces some high-end alternatives.
You like California and the Pacific Northwest.
Right.
Which is wild because California is notorious for high living costs.
It is. But for a retiree with a $5,000 plus budget, they offer unmatched scenic beauty gourmet dining and a wide variety of museums.
Unmatched scenic beauty, so you really get what you pay for.
You do. It's a premium product. With a high budget, you can afford to insulate yourself from the cold or pay the higher taxes because you're getting a massive return in quality of life.
That makes a lot of sense. You can import heat, but you can't import culture. You can't just build a world-class art museum in a town that doesn't have one, no matter how much money you have.
Precisely. The one-trick pony environment doesn't push you.
Okay, so let's get to the bottom line here. The tax-free illusion.
The big one.
Let's revisit the no state income tax argument, because a lot of people just cannot stomach the idea of paying state income tax.
And the source concludes that the absence of the tax doesn't outweigh the downsides.
The insurance, the market risk, the cultural limits.
Right. For wealthier retirees, it isn't necessarily cheaper overall.
So if not Florida, where should the money go? The article has a list of specific alternatives for those with substantial budgets. Let's run through them.
Let's do it. First up is Texas.
Okay, Texas, no state income tax.
No state income tax and a lower cost of living.
Yeah.
Plus, you have massive, thriving metropolises like Austin or Dallas with all the learner amenities.
Yes, universities, tech hubs, art scenes. Okay, what's next?
Arizona.
Beautiful landscape.
Very beautiful. affordable housing, and a really good quality of life. The housing market is more stable, and you avoid the coastal insurance catastrophe.
The Grand Canyon, Sedona. It's a totally different kind of visual stimulation than just a flat coastline.
Exactly. Next on the list is Nevada.
Nevada. Also no income tax.
No income tax and appealing for substantial savings. Plus, look where you are geographically. You're right next to California.
Oh, right. You can access the amenities of the West Coast without paying the West Coast taxes.
It's geographic arbitrage.
Smart. And the last one on the sources list is Tennessee.
Tennessee is budget-friendly, no state income tax on wages,
Yeah.
and a generally lower cost of living.
Plus, you get actual seasons there, the Smokies. Nashville is a booming cultural hub.
Right. It's not just a retirement community. It's a living, breathing city.
There's a clear pattern here. These alternatives preserve the financial perks, the tax and cost benefits, without necessarily carrying the specific Florida baggage we discussed earlier.
They offer balance. You keep the tax benefit, but you strip away the insurance nightmare and the cultural stagnation.
So let's recap the three main strikes against Florida for high-budget retirees.
Strike one is the financial reality of the weather. High insurance and weather risk. The market is broken, and climate change is a multiplier.
Right. Strike two is the real estate volatility. It's a boom and bust market that threatens long-term wealth preservation.
And strike three is the limited cultural depth, the one-trick pony problem.
So to be clear, this isn't about bashing Florida.
Not at all.
It's about reviewing your options diligently, regardless of whether you saved slowly over 40 years or hit a windfall. Check your math.
Check your math and check your values.
Symptom. Well, before we wrap up, I know you had a final provocative thought from our analysis to leave the listener with today.
I do. We spend our whole working lives trying to accumulate wealth. We measure it in dollars.
Sure.
But once you cross that finish line and you have that substantial monthly budget, what is wealth actually for?
That is the question.
Is the goal of a wealthy retirement simply to preserve every single penny of capital through tax avoidance? Or is the true luxury of a $5,000 plus budget the ability to pay more for an environment that keeps your mind active, not just your body warm?
Wow. Is the luxury the bank balance, or is the luxury the life you actually live?
Exactly. Something to mull over.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening to The Deep Dive. Go review those options, and we'll see you next time.